Wheels, maybe some splits if you're adventurous. Get a glass of wine, a glass of tea, a cup of coffee, and be back. This is going to be 5 minutes, so y'all just enjoy it. Maybe there's a little good news out there today. What do y'all think? Catch you on the flip side.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Jack Speer. Acting Federal Aviation Administration head Daniel Elwell told a Senate subcommittee today that to his knowledge, pilots were not given specific instructions on software that Boeing added to its 737 MAX aircraft. That software is being looked at after crashes involving 2 MAX 8 jets in less than 6 months that claimed a total of 346 lives. Elwell says agency investigators will continue to go where the facts take them.
The FAA continues to seek and evaluate any additional data that might help us understand the underlying factors that led to the recent 737 MAX accidents. We will take immediate and appropriate action based on the facts.
Elwell says the planes currently grounded will remain out of service as long as an investigation into the recent crashes continues. Boeing is updating the software that's suspected of possibly playing a role in the crashes, one in Indonesia, the other in Ethiopia. James Alex Field Jr., the young Ohio man who drove through a group of anti-racist protesters during a white nationalist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia 2 summers ago, has pleaded guilty to 29 federal hate crime charges. The plea was approved last week by Attorney General William Barr, as Haas Spencer from member station WCVE reports.
Fields, already convicted of murder by a local jury, had been facing a possible death sentence in the federal case. Legal analyst David Hauberg was not surprised he sought a plea.
The strategy for defense counsel in almost any capital case is to avoid the death penalty.
Community activist Don Gathers says the death of Heather Heyer and the injuries to dozens of others still hang over the city.
It's a stain that we'll have to live with forever, regardless of what sentence that the judge hands down.
The federal judge will issue that sentence, which could be life in prison, on July 3rd. For NPR News, I'm Haas Spencer in Charlottesville.
British lawmakers have voted on a wide range of different possible proposals for the UK's exit from the European Union and shot down all of them, apparently. As NPR's Frank Langfitt reports from London, Parliament continues to try to find an alternative to British Prime Minister Theresa May's now twice rejected EU divorce plan.
The British Parliament voted tonight on 8 separate ways forward on Brexit. One of them, which people thought might have passed, was for a customs union, which would have helped solve the problem of the Irish border. That did not pass. In fact, none of them did. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister has offered to resign in order to get her Brexit deal through, but still didn't seem to pick up enough votes today to make that happen.
NPR's Frank Langfitt in London. Britain has till April 12th to find a plan or potentially crash out of the EU without a deal. A drop in healthcare and technology companies helped fuel a broader slide in U.S. financial markets today. The Dow was down 32 points. The Nasdaq fell 48 points. This is NPR. In an effort to stop the further spread of measles in a suburb of northwest of New York City, the Rockland County Health Department is enacting a ban on unvaccinated children in public places. From member station WNYC, Gwen Hogan has more.
As of this morning, children who don't have the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine won't be allowed in malls, restaurants, and other indoor public places in Rockland County, an estimated 20% of kids there. The county's executive Ed Day says the ban won't be actively enforced, but parents found to be in violation after the fact could face fines or jail.
We are urging them, once again, now with the authority of law, to get your children vaccinated.
There were 2 new measles cases in the last week and 153 since the outbreak began last October. Michael Sussman, a lawyer for families with unvaccinated children, called the ban ludicrous and says the health department should quarantine the few people who currently have the virus. For NPR News, I'm Gwen Hogan in New York.
One of the biggest sellers of now banned bump stocks, a device that allows semi-automatic weapons to fire more like fully automatics, says it has turned over 60,000 of the items to the federal government to be destroyed. A new federal law banning bump stocks went into effect this week. RW Arms of Fort Worth, Texas, turned over the devices to the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives. The company says the products will be shredded and recycled. Bump stocks were banned following the 2017 massacre in Las Vegas, where a gunman using the device fired on a crowd of concert-goers from his hotel room, killing 58 people and wounding hundreds more. I'm Jack Speer, NPR News in Washington.
Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour. Welcome back. You are listening to Paranormal Experience Radio. This is WBHM Digital Broadcasting. I am Kat Hobson, your host, and I'm joined tonight by my friend and guest, Shelly Burk Robertson. Shelly is the owner of the Old Paulding Jail in Paulding, Ohio. She is also the founder of 187 PI, and not only that, she is also a host here on WBHM. She's on Friday nights from 8 to 9 Eastern Time, and she is the host of Ghost Talk Radio. It's a great show. She picks various subjects and covers them intently, and it is so full of information. I go through notebooks listening to her show. So, you know I do. Because I've always got one and I'm always writing. So, welcome back. This has been a great conversation. We had some ghosty hijinks or something going on in the first section, but we got that handled. So we're back for the final hour. And Shelly, we have covered all kinds of things. I would like to bring up something that Daniel Watkins shared in chat. He said that he's always had this question. By acknowledging any spirit or allowing them to have a voice, would leaving a monument or a plaque or something like that as a symbol to them be something to make the spirit happy by showing them that they're not forgotten?
Well, I think that is a very good assumption. And some of the plans that I have for the restoration in that front room, that's going to be totally dedicated to the sheriffs, and it'll have all of their photographs on the walls, and there'll be books about some of their greatest cases and a little bit about their lives, and that's always been my plan.
Well, I think anything that lets them know that they're not forgotten. There's so many spirits who are. There's so many. We were talking earlier about relocation of graves. We were talking about graves that are built over. Here in Alabama, they built a lake system, a lock system, and a lot of graves, cemeteries were flooded.
Oh.
And, it's just one of those things that you can't stop progress, right? And I'm absolutely certain these people that were doing it thought that they got everything handled.
Well,
And you just miss sometimes.
I think so. And we had a very good experience last year, and that's why I decided to do the birthday events for all the resident spirits this year, whom I know when their birthdays are. Because I know it just sounds insane, but we had a very good experience and some really good evidence and stuff off of Gary Murray's birthday party last year, wouldn't you say?
I would say, and I think it's because it was a celebration of his life.
Yes.
Not a wake for his death.
Yes, and it was.
And they're the same day, right?
Yes.
He died on his birthday.
So, I thought that it would be great to acknowledge the rest of them who I know when their birthdays are. So, we have events this year for all their birthdays.
I think that's so neat.
I mean, we set a cake for them and set a place for them and everything. So, it's all about them. And
Katie still feels that there was a thumbprint or something on that cake. Like somebody had swiped it. And
it looked like it.
So I thought that was interesting. And we actually went back through my photos I took before and afters, as we set the table up and then after. And I didn't see something that was definitively that initial thumbprint.
It was like what I saw was like a swipe.
Yeah.
And there was a little tiny chunk of the frosting then was on the table.
Yeah.
And we are going to do a birthday party for the sheriff. And that one's in October. We're going to do Nancy Eagleson. Hers is in August, I believe. And we're going to do Gary and Frank, and they are both in July. And there's a couple of other, like little Audrey. I don't know when her birthday is, which is a sad shame.
It is a sad shame.
But
it's not your fault.
No, I'm trying to find out more information about her. But she's a child, so the information is coming slowly.
Yeah. Well, I think that the sheriff's birthday is something that he will feel, since you did Gary's, is rightfully his.
Oh yeah, and that's the night that we're going to unveil the hologram machine and stuff too.
Really?
Yep, for his birthday.
Oh, it better not snow. If I get up there and it snows, you're stuck with me.
That's okay.
Because I'm not driving in it.
That's okay. I mean, I've got some really good evidence at other places too. I know I talk so much about the jail, but that's where I know it's where I'm able to do the most research at, and
that's how I feel about Sloss.
And it's so active, and
something that's indicative of how we feel about these places is you were asking me about locations around me the other day.
Yeah.
And I was going through all these things, and you said, well, what about Sloss? I said, well, yeah, but Sloss is like here.
Yeah.
And it never crossed my mind, like as a local haunt. I don't even remember. Wasn't it local haunts or nearby haunts or something like that we were talking about?
Yes.
And you're like, well, Sloss. I was like, well, yeah, but it's down the road. I don't ever think about that as, I consider it my hometown haunt. I call it my hometown haunt. I like to go there.
It's so close to you. That's another perfect place.
Yeah. Where
you could develop a relationship with the residents.
And I think I have with a couple of them over in the, well, it's upstairs where the wheel house and the, impellers are. But I hear them when I'm downstairs in the boiler room. Like you hear them walking around upstairs. And I'll ask a question. And I actually got 3 voices in one EVP where they were kind of like razzing each other.
Wow.
So it was, I would say what it was, but there was profanity in it. But, and I was just thinking it's in my Google Drive. I may try that on one of our next breaks to download that. But, it's just so weird that you get locked into the mindset of this is where I research, this is where I, now I'll be able to go back. But, which, by the way, for those who have been following the knee junk, I was released by my doctor today to do what I feel that I'm capable of doing. I still have to use a cane, but not for long. So
nope, you're getting better every day. Every day.
That is just a praise moment. I'm sharing that. But So now I'll be able to go back because law says a lot of states